Good afternoon, everyone. This is a huge story, and it just keeps building. And I think there's going to be a crescendo with it. I think that something's going to tie in, and who knows. But money laundering, gambling debts, madness in the Liberal Caucus. CBC reporting. Liberal MP's name came up in wider police probe into money laundering. CP source. It is literally a collateral issue to a bigger investigation related to drugs, gambling, and money laundering. Now, before I get into the article, I want you to imagine if this was a Conservative MP or somebody associated with the People's Party of Canada. What would the media be doing? Just think about that. Okay, here we go. Word of Liberal MP Raj Grewal's gambling debt surfaced on police wiretaps in a much broader probe into other people suspected of money laundering and terrorist financing, says source with knowledge of the events. Grewal's sudden decision to step down as the member for Southern Ontario riding of Brampton East was prompted by a gambling problem that led him to incur significant personal debts, the Prime Minister's office said last week. The source, who requested anonymity due to the sensitivity of the matter, said Grewal's debts came to the attention of the Ontario Provincial Police during an investigation of some, quote, particularly shady guys who might be involved in laundering drug money destined for an extremist group in the Middle East. Quote, these are wiretaps up on an organized crime and terrorism investigation, and they have people talking about his gambling debt on the wire, he said. The source said he learned that last spring that RCMP had asked OPP's gambling unit about Grewal's casino gambling based on reports of unusually large financial transactions. It is literally a collateral issue to a bigger investigation related to drugs, gambling, and money laundering. Grewal, who is a lawyer, has not been charged with any crime. There is no suggestion he knows anything of the alleged activities at the center of the broader police probe, the source says. Attempts to contact him Wednesday for comment were unsuccessful. The RCMP declined comment, saying it could not confirm or deny the existence of criminal investigations unless charges are laid. The OPP did not immediately respond to an inquiry. If Grewal does not officially resign soon, he'll be kicked out of the Liberal caucus, said a well-placed insider who is not authorized to speak publicly about the matter. The Federal Ethics Commissioner began an inquiry last May after two opposition MPs expressed concerns that Grewal might have been in conflict of interest when he invited a construction executive who was paying Grewal for legal services at the time on the payroll to official events with Trudeau during the Prime Minister's trip to India. That's known as pay for access, and that's not okay. So, very interesting. This story has... it's been evolving, so I think there's more to it. But at this point in time, it's still pretty damaging to the Liberals, to this gentleman personally, and there's a lot more to this. So I can't wait for the other shoe to drop. I'm going to find out what's happening. This is massive. There is a report. The PBO comes out, well, I'll read the tweet. Live, response to the PBO report on cost of illegal border crossers. Watching Michelle Rempel, Shadow Minister on Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, Deputy Shadow Minister Larry Maguire, and Pierre, I don't know, I'm not going to say that, Shadow Minister, Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness. Sorry, Pierre. Paul Huss? Anyway, this is a very interesting press conference, and the whole thing is worthwhile. I could probably do an entire video, but we're just going to listen to the first couple of minutes with Michelle Rempel and Mr. Maguire. Mr. Maguire, I believe, is the man who started the whole thing, requested the report, and the report is out, and wow, it's a doozy. So take it away, Michelle.
MPs, Michelle Rempel from Calgary Centre, if I recall. Nose Hill. I thought I had Nose Hill in the back. Pierre Holt, Paul Hoos from Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles, and Larry Maguire from Brandon Sur. So I always get Larry and Ted Falk mixed up. I know, they're right beside each other. Anyway, we have a hard cap of 10:55 because the Senate's in right after us with another newser, so please take it away.
Well, I guess that was an expensive tweet. Hashtag welcome to Canada. We now know the costs, the federal costs associated with the Prime Minister's choice to keep the loophole of the Safe Third Country Agreement open and to essentially promote the abuse of Canada's asylum system. Today's Parliamentary Budget Officer report looks just at the federal costs, and I think that's important to note. In this cost estimate, we're not looking at things like social welfare payments, subsidized housing, and other costs associated with the provincial government. But it just blows my mind that between 2017 through next fiscal year, this Prime Minister is choosing to spend $1.1 billion on essentially what amounts to the abuse of our asylum system. Some of the numbers in here are absolutely shocking. The fact that the cost per illegal border crosser, just the federal costs alone, and I'm sure with the provincial costs added onto it, are somewhere in the range of what the total gross salary of a minimum wage worker in Canada would be. I don't understand how the Prime Minister can go to Canadians and ask for any sort of social license or credibility when he is spending $1.1 billion on a problem of his own making that essentially undermines the integrity of our system.
And I'll leave it right there. As I said, the whole thing is very interesting. And the gentleman who initiated the whole thing speaks. But again, I don't want to spend a whole time. Please do go watch this. It's so interesting. But here's the tweet talking about introducing this. And here's Global News reporting, quote, each irregular migrant costs the Canadian government between $10,000 and $34,000. Unbelievable. Michelle Rempel just said the cost, the amount that they're spending is the amount that a part-time worker makes in a year. That's not wrong. This is the estimate according to Global News. Quote, every irregular border crosser, illegal border crosser, Global News, get it right, you're Canadian, who came to Canada over the last year cost the federal government, on average, $14,321. That cost includes the entire process of handling their asylum claims through federal agencies and is expected to increase to an average of $15,483 this year and to $16,666 in 2019-2020. So, this isn't a problem that anybody sees stopping soon because nobody has the political will to say this is an awful waste of money. It is an awful waste of money. Why are we putting them up in hotels? Why are we welcoming them with open arms? This is insanity. What an ineffective failure of a prime minister that we have currently. My goodness. I don't know who, and there's apparently 40% of them according to the polls, but I don't know who would hire this person to babysit their plant, never mind a pet. Please convince me. I have no idea. I don't think there is one Canadian out there who would hire Justin Trudeau to water their plants. The plant would die. It's quite simple. Just like the Alberta oil sands died, just like Ontario's manufacturing heart. Thanks, Justin Trudeau. So, to continue the propaganda, here's the UNGA president tweeting, Canada's positive experience have been important for the framing of the migration debate. They are an example and they can inspire others. Thank you, Ahmed Hussen, for your leadership. My point isn't to spread ridiculous, untrue propaganda because Canadians don't appreciate what the UN is doing here, don't want open borders, and don't think that this person represents our interests. And that's not my words. Read the comments. The comments are fantastic. So they're all negative, or mostly negative, and it's nice to see. A lot of them are calling them out, saying, you're a disgrace, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not going to go through them. You can have fun and read the comments yourself if you like. I'm sure there are some positive ones in there, and they are shaping them. They have been deleting things and changing things. So we're forever trying to keep up against the torrent of fake information and ridiculous bias online. But these liberals are nothing but poison to a country that once was really the envy of the world. That people would talk about Canada with envy. I used to travel in Europe and down in the States, and I'm Canadian. That meant something. It really did. It might still, but it's we're being invaded, and it's the government that's facilitating it. And it's so sad to see a crooked government facilitating a crooked UN's plan and ignoring the local population with impunity, and nothing that we can do other than wait for the election next year. I don't know. Time to take France's example and get some orange cones and some reflective vests and shut things down and tell Justin Trudeau in no uncertain terms that he needs to get lost. Him and his crooked Liberals. Anyway, have an excellent afternoon. Consider the costs we're paying for these insane policies. Is it worth it? Is it worth that money? Would it not be more worth it to invest that money in Canadians who are here now? What about Indigenous Canadians? Why are we importing people who don't qualify for any status in Canada? We know that 90% of the people crossing illegally at Roxham Road don't qualify, yet we haven't deported them. They're still sitting, waiting for their hearing in hotels on our dime. And here it is. And that doesn't include the provincial costs. That's a lowball estimate with just the federal costs, not provincial. Unbelievable. This is naked theft. Naked theft from the Canadian population. Unbelievable. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.